All right, guys, let's go ahead and get going. Let's get into the charts. We'll see what we got going on. Let me know how the audio sounds. Give me an audio check. And we'll look at what you guys want me to look at. So, usually starting off, I'll kind of give a, just give an idea of what the charts look like, how the week ended out. And then we'll just get into individual stock charts. And we'll look for trade ideas. Again, one thing is, I'm not going to get all the trade ideas right. Sometimes a chart looks very good, and, I talk about divergences a lot, and I think a lot of people, especially the people that like to troll me, basically think that when I say divergences, I'm talking about, like, that means I'm short. And that doesn't necessarily mean I'm short. If I'm talking about a negative divergence, it doesn't mean I'm short. It just means I'm looking for it, looking for an entry, looking for sell signals, opportunities to, signs that tell me that we're heading lower. So divergence is one condition. That's a condition of momentum is waning. So loss of momentum but that doesn't mean that we're at the pivot point. For that, we need to see break of trends, break of trend line support. So that's what I do, and I constantly talk about divergences because usually the way they work out, especially on the daily chart, is those things will build, build for weeks basically, sometimes months, but usually it's weeks, or maybe a month and a half or so. It'll build and build and build. I'll point it out because I'm trying to, put out videos every day. I've kind of lightened up on some of those recently. I've been busy with a few other things, kind of a side project, but so they'll build, and I talk about it, and then finally it'll break. And then when it finally breaks, I say, okay, there's the sell signal, then I get a lot of people that says, oh, he's finally right. He talked about it for 6 weeks. Well, yeah, that's the nature of divergences, is they build. So, that's what we're looking for. Right now, I've got NQ. This is an hourly chart. I pointed this out to the private member group on Friday. Just minor stuff. But again, trades start small and they can build. This is an hourly chart. We were kind of walking up this. This is going back to the 11th, so pretty much all week, basically. Just support. There's another tag of it. There's another reaction. And then it broke in the last, couple hours of Friday. We broke trend right there on the Nasdaq futures. So I think, the way this looks, and again, there was not negative divergence right here. See it? So it was building. You really had the divergence showing up right in here. That's a divergent high, and then that got sold into, and we broke trend while doing that. So now at this point, we could back test. All right, that's objective to short there. Or we might just trade sideways and then Monday pop up and do a back test. So it'll feel bullish because in general, the price would be moving up, but it would be back testing into resistance, and it would actually offer an objective area to short. People that don't look at charts, they would just see the price action and they'll see it moving up and say, look, it's still going up, we're good. But they don't realize that, you're trading right into resistance, and that's actually the objective area to get out of your longs or to short. Now, this is just an hourly chart, so I'm just talking about relatively short time frame trade setup here, and really actionable, basically. But and if you really want to wait, you can see there's also, there's an opportunity here. You can see we kind of, hold on. Sorry, guys, I'm deleting stuff as I'm trying to show you guys. Right there there's kind of a plateau of support. It's right about here. So you could wait to take those lows out if you want to, take a shot at a short trade. And then again, this is just hourly, so I would just be looking for a move down to this trend line down here, kind of this bigger trend line, and that shows up more on the daily. We'll flip over to the daily, and that's basically, this is the daily chart. So you can see support. We hit support again there. Right through here we hit it. So again, you break the hourly, which we did. You move down to the daily. We break the daily, then we're going to probably go down. There's kind of a more significant trend line right down here. This is the major trend line for the year. Okay. So, we could move down to there. That started back in January on the futures, and I've marked it out. So yeah, we break the hourly, move down. There's kind of a more, there's a trend line, and then there's a much more significant trend line down here. Where do we hit that? I don't know. There's no way to tell. But if we were down there at that trend line, I wouldn't expect that we're just going to break it. I would probably think, okay, the dip buyers are going to be waiting there, and we were going to bounce. Now, do we bounce to make new highs? I don't know. I don't think so, but I would expect a bounce. So, maybe a bounce like that, and then, I think we're going to break this trend line, and the reason why I do think we're going to break the trend line is because we have divergence that's been building. This divergence, you'll see it right here. We basically made an equal high right there. If I zoom in, it might be a slightly higher high, but it's ever so slightly. It's actually slightly higher, so maybe you can say the divergence isn't there on the PPO for the futures, but it's close enough. So, and then it is on the triple Qs. If I see that, you'll see here right there. This one on the PPO there. We basically have, it's kind of an equal high. So that's still a divergent high on the PPO. So we still have divergence. Let me look at the SPY, and that's the bigger market. And then this one, again, pretty much an equal high there on the PPO. So we'll see. Again, I'm not saying we're going to break. Right now, I would just be looking for a move down to the major trend line. I think that's probably going to happen. I think it's likely. And then down there, it doesn't make sense to be short into major support like that. You'd want to cover, and then we'll see where things go after that. So that's all I really have on the Nasdaq futures. And then the triple Qs, if I go back down to the hourly, you'll see here. There's the hourly chart. This is kind of consistent with the Nasdaq futures. Broke trend here. We broke trend prior to the futures, but I was really waiting for the futures to break as well to see a continued move down. And then ultimately, if I go back to the daily, the major trend line, the trend that has been in place all year, basically, for the triple Qs is this blue line right down here. So, yeah. I think a move down to that trend line makes sense. We just made a new high. See this high right here? I'm on the daily chart. This high that we made right here, kind of this floaty price action. We saw some gap ups. It kept gapping up and kind of basically going nowhere, but then gapping up. That's a divergent high. So on the daily chart, you'll see that we made new higher high in price, but lower high in momentum. So I think this divergent high on the daily gets sold into, and we trade down to the trend line. All right, that's the best guess that I can give from what I see in the charts. And then I don't just build that analysis off of, just the Nasdaq futures and the Nasdaq. You want to look at the Fangs as well, and especially Apple. Again, Apple has this bearish rising wedge pattern here, and Apple, as bullish as everything else is, look, you still have a divergent high. See, each new high that Apple's made in price has not been met with strong momentum. It's actually weaker momentum than previously, basically. So negative divergence is merely a condition to tell me that momentum is dying on each new high. And then you did pop it, a little overshoot, kind of run a bunch of stops, and then boom, back to the bottom, and we've basically broken down. So you have a breakdown, that's a sell signal, and then all week it basically back tested, but it didn't do much. So I'm looking for that impulsive rejection. If you want to wait and you want to be conservative, because obviously I've got, I got the triple Q short wrong earlier in the year. You could wait for the break of the lows. That would make sense. You'd have a pretty impulsive rejection at that point. So break of the lows, and yeah, this should start to, trade lower. And the major target for Apple, you take the widest part of the wedge, which I kind of feel is, I don't know, right about in here. really right about here, I would say, just to be conservative. The widest part of the wedge, and that would mean Apple broke right there, so that sets Apple for a move down to, down to about 169, 170, something like that. All right, so that's Apple. And again, if Apple's going lower, Triple Q's is going lower. I really only need to look at Apple at this point. But you can look at Microsoft. Microsoft trading into resistance, okay? Kind of a double top. But basically that resistance line that I had marked right there, 348.50. Where did I get that? That's the former high. So it made that's your former high right there. It made an ever slightly new high intraday. So intraday high there and an intraday high there on Friday. But the sellers stepped in and it closed back below. So that is resistance. And this new high in price, which was intraday, is divergence. All right, see the negative divergence. See how the momentum is dropping off? So that's a divergent high. I think it gets sold into, and we probably head down to this trend line right here. And now I only have 2 reaction points, so not a completely validated trend line. But I think it makes sense that we would head down there and probably validate that trend line. So watch that. That's important too. Microsoft and Apple are going to make up about 40% of the triple Qs. And the rest of those fangs are pretty much going to trade in line with those as well. The only caveat I would say where I just don't think there's going to be huge moves to happen in the next couple weeks, really across the tech sector, is you've got earnings coming up. So the market's probably could sell off a little, but I don't think we're going to get major selling ahead of earnings. All right, so that's that one. That's my analysis on the tech sector right now. I don't see much else. I mean, Tesla is to me, looks like it's going to be a short here pretty soon. So if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, I shorted Tesla right here on the break of this trend. So you see this daily trend we broke. Didn't really have divergence. So to me, it looked like it was just going to be kind of a pullback, not necessarily a reverse of trend. So I shorted it, it fell down. I covered my short for kind of there was profit there. I don't know. I don't think it was huge. And I said, because we don't have the divergence and I've got this major bear trend line up here, resistance, 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 that I thought, okay, we're probably going to go hit that. We're so close. So I got out of my short and I was looking for a move up, and sure enough, there it is. So sidestepped, any losses on that one, maybe made a small profit. Now, to me, this looks like a pretty objective area to short right up in here. What I'd want to see, and we're starting to get it actually now. So here's what I think is going to happen. See the divergence? We're starting to drop off on momentum. Now we have negative divergence. We did not have that before in Tesla. You'll see here in this move up, just rising momentum, rising price. Everything looked fine. Now we have rising price, slightly higher high, dropping momentum. Okay, so that's basically telling me we're diverging. The conditions are set up now for a short. I think we're going to pop up into this maybe on earnings, which is coming up. What is it, next week? The 19th, roughly. So I think that's next week. I'll have to look at, sometimes this trading view is off a little bit, but it's either next week or the week after. And then, so I think maybe we pop up here, pop it, and that would be an objective short. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Probably look for a hard reversal, some sort of reversal candlestick though. Look for sellers, if they pop it on earnings, look for sellers to be there selling into that that post earnings, pop. And if you see that, to me, that tells me that it's an objective short. Okay, that's Tesla. Now I'm going to get into your guys' stuff because that's pretty much the broad market analysis. The only other one, JP Morgan, I know they did earnings on Friday. It rallied up post earnings, but the sellers were selling. It closed about flat. I don't see any real indication of a reversal here. That's not really a reversal candlestick. There's no real divergences, and we haven't broken any kind of trend. So it's just, there's nothing really here. I'm watching it. If this breaks, the financial sector should break. But as of right now, there's not much there. Okay, PayPal. All right, so PayPal starting to break out. This is the trend line. It's a little in question because I have that one right there. It kind of chopped through, but I've got a reaction there. I've got a reaction. I've got a couple here. I just have that little chop through. Now we're through it now. It's not super impulsive, but we're through it. We got the 200-day moving average. I don't see any real divergences on that one. I don't want to short it. Let's put it that way. Earnings coming up is the one, the gamble basically. Coming up in about 2 weeks. So this could continue to rally into earnings. I'm not in love with this chart, but if I had to pick, I'd be bullish. But I personally would probably just stay flat just because of the 2-week earnings. This breakout's not that bullish. I mean, yeah, you do have, this is your breakout here, and it rallied, 2% or so. I don't see a volume spike or anything like that. So could go a little higher into earnings, but a little bit of a gamble on that one. And if it continues to rally, there's some resistance right up here about 92.60. Looks like there's decent resistance. So that's probably where I'd, that would be a target, a profit target if you are along that one. Affirm, AFRM. Well, I don't see any real divergences here. So I've got, here's a high, there's a lower high. Momentum is equal. You've got a high in momentum, lower high. So that's fine. No issues there. If I had to guess, I think this one's probably going a little higher. You've got a possible trend line to watch. There's only 2 data points, but I don't have negative divergence. So I think this probably could continue a little higher. Maybe put in a new divergent high like this. Maybe not. If the momentum's strong and excuse me. Okay, if the momentum is strong there, then you have then you would have the momentum could continue to rally, and then the price could continue to rally as well. So keep an eye on that. Okay. So that's Affirm, and then Lyft. Momentum is rising on Lyft. Lyft, I liked buying Lyft right down here. I pointed that out in the video. I said, look, we're at support. You've got bullish divergence, which was right here. Okay. So I don't want to just buy at support for the sake of support, but if you have bullish divergence and you're at support, even better. It's objective. So that was an objective long right there, and that's worked out. So that's rallied up 45% into the 200-day moving average. You're starting to build some negative divergence. So you'll see here on the RSI, or see how it's turned down. It's just starting. So it's, it could develop more, but it's there now. And then the PPO, you don't have confirmation yet. So, if this does continue to turn down, you cross over, then you'd have divergence. So it's early in considering, that it's early to say that divergence is mature, but could be starting to form. And then you got earnings. So I don't know. You know, for me, I wouldn't want to take a position right here and now. If you're in it, you could stay in it, or if you got in down here, you know, you could, like, I don't know. I just would take profit before earnings. You know, you're up 45%. Why risk that into a big unknown? You know, if they like earnings, they're probably going to fill this gap right here. Okay? Probably. So, you know, if they don't like earnings, you're probably going to trade back down to this support line down here. So, that's my take on Lyft. Okay, so Rare and Disney, RAR, or RARE. I do not know what this one is. Pharmaceutical. So pharmaceuticals are always kind of wild cards due to the headline risk with the testing results, drug testing results. Downtrend line here. I've already looked at this. Someone's asked me about this one. All right, there's a downtrend line. There's bullish divergence that's been building for quite a while. There's a breakout and a buy signal right there. That would be, if I saw this at the time, I'd say that's a buy signal. Okay, rallied, you're back testing, you're in the 200. It looks good. I would pick long over short. I'd be a buyer. You can buy here at the 200. I think that's objective. Let me see if there's any horizontal support. See if I can find anything. Yeah, I see some reactions right in here. So what I was looking at there, see that? There's another one right there. And then through here, you've got a couple. Chop through a little bit, but there's a little gap up. Okay, so I think you're at or near support. It's objective as a long. Problem is earnings, again, can be a wild card. If they like earnings, you're probably going to rally off this. But earnings is a little ways away. Let me see when earnings is. Early August. It'd be a very objective down here. If earnings are bad and it gaps down, that would be an objective long right down there because that's a nice solid back test. That would be, in my perfect world, that's where I'd want to be a buyer at. I'd prefer to buy down here than right up here. Okay, but you could be a buyer at the 200 and you could maybe add to it there if you want to be long this thing. I'd look for longs on this one, not shorts. But it's a pharmaceutical company, so does it pay a dividend? No. Yeah, so. And it probably has a history of decent sized gaps, but yeah, I don't know. So that's what I would do on that one. Disney, that one's been selling off. I've seen no real strength in that one. I looked at it on Friday. So Disney is, let's take a look. I mean, so there's support right down here at about 86.75. This goes back to 2016. And yeah, we're kind of trading down near support. No real divergence, to be honest, that I can pick out that looks very clear to me. So I'm not so sure. We'll see how this trades after earnings. This might break, all right? If it breaks, look to see if it's a divergent low. What I would do, if it breaks and it is a divergent low, then personally wait for the recovery of this big trend line, this big support. You know, if it breaks with a divergent low, it's very likely a false breakdown. It should recover, but it could wash people out. It could, so you wash out, then it recovers. That's your buy signal. All right, so if you're looking to go long, then that would be that. If it breaks and there's really no divergence, then it's a sell signal, and it's a long-term sell signal. You'd want to look at the weekly, and you're basically continuing a bear market and heading lower. All right. So then you look at these little reaction lows on the weekly. Well, for one, you're probably going to go test those pre-COVID lows down here. All right. Oh, right down there. So I would say if it breaks, it's probably going to break down there, and then, you know, might hold support there, but, you know, could continue a bear market. All right. So that's that. LAD. Okay, what's LAD? Lithium Motors, so an auto company. I know Ford's been strong. I looked at that one. So this one, you've got this. I think you got this uptrend right here, roughly. This is going back to 2008. I'm on the weekly chart, so let me drop down to the daily. Weekly is fine for larger trends, but we want to look at the daily. All right, so this is your, you know, trend line here. Right about there. Okay. Downtrend line, breakout. Looks to be a divergent high, like a divergent breakout. This is your former high here, and you see the momentum. And we've got a new high up here, but momentum is less. If I zoom in on the PPO, you can see you've got this bearish PPO crossover right here. See, it's crossing right there. And then, so, you know, when you have bearish PPO crossovers at the end of extended uptrends, that's usually a sign of a reversal. You know, because you had a bearish PPO crossover right here as well. But see, there was no extended uptrend. It just was a little dip, and there was no real sign there. But you have it up here now. So to me, that looks like a potential reversal. I don't see a reversal candlestick. All right, no dojis or anything. But what I would do is mark out this uptrend. We'll see if we broke it or not. Let me kind of, and you go down to the hourly to tighten it up. Yeah, right about there. That looks like a sell signal. All right, that's how I would have to consider that a sell signal on Friday. I'm going to add this one to my shorts. I wish I would have seen it on the perfect entry, but this looks like a sell signal. Okay, and then let's see here. We do have earnings coming up. And then on the hourly, if you're watching this on the hourly, you see you're moving higher. And you notice, oh, we actually have a divergent high, but it made a new high because divergence isn't a reason to sell. It just is a condition. Oh, we made a new high in price, but oh, it just extended the divergence. Okay, and then, oh, we have a sell signal right there. So that's that. That's what I see in that one. What I would suspect happens now is this trend line right here. I think you trade down to that trend line. Okay. Probably pretty quickly too, because I just see like straight up price action. So I think you probably trade pretty quickly. Earnings coming up, which is always, you know, a little bit of a wild card. When is earnings? It's coming up on the 26th, roughly. But again, the technicals are bearish right now in this, so I would say, you know, it's probably going to gap down on earnings. It's, you know, that's the best I could say. All right, that's that one. Pen. And guys, drop me a thumbs up if you're finding value. I do appreciate it. You know, helps the channel. My channel's never going to be a major, huge channel. It's fine. It's not really. It's just what it is. People aren't that into stock stuff as much. All right, so Pen. Let me see here. I would say that's our downtrend line at this point. It's the best I can do. I've got the high. I've got a reaction here, and I've got a third reaction. All right, see the rejection right there? So that's our downtrend line. I have earnings coming up. So that's a divergent low on the daily chart for sure. Wait till after earnings would be my, you know, opinion on that. You've got divergence, but this could build more, and you have earnings. So if earnings are bad, they could run down and make a new divergent low. What I would do, if you're building divergence, I'd probably be looking for a break of this trend line. But until you see that, there's no, I wouldn't want to be long this thing. I wouldn't want to short it either, because I don't want to short something that's building divergence. Even though you're at resistance, yeah, you could take the chance and get a new divergent low, or it could break out. I would wait. I would be looking long, and I'd be looking for a breakout. That would be when I would want to enter personally. Okay, that's that one. Boil. Well, so boil is going to be your natural gas. I'd prefer to just look at the futures. And Boyle has decay, all right, because they basically are buying futures essentially for the leverage. And when you have something going sideways, that decay pretty much, like if nat gas is going sideways, which it is, basically, Boyle is going down, I would assume, because of the decay. So if I look at Boyle, you see it's basically kind of trending down. So you don't want to be in a leveraged one when you have a sideways consolidation. You want to be trending either up or down. That's when those leveraged ones can work. Big bullish divergence here on nat gas that's been building. So these are divergent lows down here. Possibly the start of an uptrend. I don't know. I'm not in love with nat gas right now, but if I had to pick a position, I'd want to go long. Okay. One of the reasons when you look at the dollar, because all commodities are priced in dollars, you have the dollar futures here with a breakdown. It broke down on Wednesday, continued to break down on Thursday, and Friday basically just kind of held. But it's a breakdown, and it's not really a divergent breakdown. It looks to be the real deal. It is divergent if you go all the way back here. It's not confirmed though. So, and on the RSI, we made a new lower low on the RSI. So it's pretty oversold. You're probably going to rally, but I think it might be sell the rip now in the dollar. Something to take note of. If the dollar's falling, then that should be bullish for commodities. That's why I'm really mostly interested in commodity. Like, commodities look good, especially this wheat trade. I just looks really good. It doesn't, no guarantees. Up 3.5% on Friday. This is wheat futures, but you can see bullish falling wedge. Little breakdown, shakeout move, but divergent low. Big bullish divergence. So these little breakdowns were likely going to be false breakdowns because of the divergence, and they were. All right, and we sometimes when you see these wedges, so this is a bullish wedge, you would expect a bullish wedge to rally, excuse me. But because you expect that, the market makers shake you out by doing the other thing, and then it rallies. All right, so that's a clean, distinctive breakout. This is institutional participation and a back test. So it's very, and then you can see here, look at that perfect back test, very objective long right there. And if you bought that low, that back test, you were rewarded you're up by 6% already. So what I'm looking for is a breakout above current levels and, basically a continued move higher. The measured target on this one is, it's about right there. All right, that would be my measured target, which is this blue line. So, yeah, looks good to me. To that blue line up there, that's another 40%. All right, that's what I'm looking for in the wheat futures. And wheat, the ETN, I don't trade futures, but if you do, then that's that. And then if you trade the ETN, it's the same chart basically. And I think the target's right there, 950-ish. You don't want to wait for the exact level. You want to sell a little bit early, but look at that. That's a nice level. Look, you got support. There's some consolidation. There's resistance. It's a very clean reaction level. So that's where I'm looking for wheat to go. And that is, you know, again, about 45% gain on that one. No guarantees it works out, guys, but that's what it looks like to me. All right, Baba. That's a breakout of a kind of a downtrend line. It's not super a very clean downtrend line because I only have a couple reactions. But yeah, bullish divergence that's been building, so I'd have to consider that a breakout. I think you're probably going to go up to this 121.50. Not my favorite chart, you know. If I don't have a really nice clean chart, I just move on and look for better setups. XLE energy. Excuse me 1 second, guys. Okay. Not sure what's going on with my audio because my mic seems to be using my default mic, but I have a better mic. I don't know. Hopefully the audio sounds good. So energy, this is XLE. So on this one, I can't quite tell, to be honest. It looks like it's not quite divergence, but you have positive momentum building. You know, that could be a divergent low. It looks to me like it's a breakout and a back test, personally. Now it's below there a little bit on my trend line, but again, my trend line wasn't great. I got just two data points, so not a great trend line. You know, if I tuck this in, come down here, maybe that's a cleaner trend line. Probably just go with that one for right now. To me, it looks like a breakout and a back test with more with a, you know, continued uptrend to go. Especially with the dollar falling. That's the way I'd be leaning on that one. Higher. Look at some of the big boys like ExxonMobil. See what these look like. Divergent lows. So see the bullish divergence there. It's building in the PPO and the RSI. That's a divergent low. You've got earnings coming out. I suspect that it's going to be bullish earnings. Like the chart tells me this is going to rally. So if you want to play it into earnings, that's a gamble, of course, but that's the way I'd be leaning, is bullish earnings. I'm not going to trade this though. The chart's not that clean on ExxonMobil. Energy looks bullish though in general right now. Okay, I already covered wheat, so that's that one. VSAT. Let me take a look at that one. Oh, not CSAT, VSAT. What are we looking at? Telecommunications equipment. Oh, there's this is some news thing apparently. I was looking for price. Was that earnings or something? Oh no, it's not. I don't know. Some headline came out. Doesn't look great. I don't know if I'd be a buyer down here. Doesn't look great to me. I can't see that, you know, I don't think I'd be a buyer of this, especially with earnings coming out. Wait till earnings is out of the way and then the chart might shape up. If you're in it, then you're trapped probably, you know, if you're long, because that's a big trap. Down 30%. It doesn't look great right here, so I don't, you know, you're trapped. So you either take the loss or you're going to ride it out, but the chart doesn't tell me that, you know, you're going to get your money back right away. And if you want to buy it, I don't see enough right here to buy it. I'd say wait till after earnings, and we'll see if the chart shapes up. Bring it back to my attention in one of these live streams after earnings. I'll take a look. DAX. German stock market. Okay, so you're diverging. Negative divergence there. This is divergence. Hold on. This is there's your uptrend right there. Right there. Okay. 1, 2, 3. You're diverging, so you have not broke trend. No sell signals, but you're losing momentum. It's probably going to come soon. But no sell signal yet, so I would wait. You know, if you're long, then, you know, stay long till you get the sell signal, I guess. Zoom. Yeah, I pointed that one out in a video. It still looks good. I'm not in it. But you've got a bullish falling wedge here. You've got bullish divergence. You've got a breakout. I mean, choppy and messy. There's back test. That's an objective area to go long. Rallying into the 200. So you got to take that out next. Your next buy signal comes on a break above 71.50 in the 200. And if you do that, you could run up to, you know, I think there's some resistance right up here on 87.50. There's a gap to fill above. So stuff like that. And then a potential downtrend line. It's only potential because I've only got 2 data points, but maybe a potential way up there. So that's what I have on that one. DocuSign. Okay. DocuSign. So it's bullish trend. It's consolidating. I can't really make much of, you know, too much of a trend, but there's a potential target. I see the divergence was right here. I was looking for it. It's right here. See that right there? That's your bullish divergence on the PPO, and there it is on the RSI. So you made a divergent low right there, and from that divergent low, that has been the lowest. You know, that has been, you know, if you bought right there, you bought at the lows, right? That's your divergent low, and now, you know, so this to me looks like an uptrend. You know, it's not a very steep one. It's kind of consolidating, but it looks like an uptrend, so could go higher. And maybe this target up here, which would be this downtrend coming off of the all-time highs. All right, that's that. All right, I already covered BABA. TSM, well, that's Taiwan Semiconductor. Let me look at that one. Each new high has been a divergent high. The peak momentum on this was back here, and you can see that's negative divergence. So divergent high, doesn't give me a sell signal, but definitely tells me momentum's waning. I don't really have an uptrend, not a clean one there, but I'll leave it. We'll see if that plays out. No sell signal. Earnings coming up, so we'll see. Earnings is right around the corner next week, so look at the index too. And this index was basically lifted by NVIDIA mania, I guess, AI mania. We are diverging now on the daily. That's a divergent high right there. Not confirmed, but it is there. So if I'm right about the Q selling off, this is probably going to come down to this trend line. That's your bull trend. All right, so until that breaks, it's, you know, it's bullish trend, but it does look like it's probably going to come down there. All right, that's that one. AEM, I mean, the miners look decent. They were kind of, they didn't look great right away. What happened on this one on Friday? Yeah, down to the 200. It's nothing. You know, these things are choppy, and these little guys like that. This is penny stock. AEM, let me take a look. Looks okay. Looks okay to me. You've got, you know, it's not the cleanest chart. See how it's a kind of flat line here while price was dropping. So, you know, it's slight bullish divergence. It's not the best looking chart. It's not my favorite, but it looks okay. Uber. So your bullish divergence, people always talk like, oh, divergences don't matter. They do. They just take a while, guys. If I'm putting out videos every day, it seems like I'm saying the same thing for 6 weeks and I'm wrong. But I mean, I'm looking at bigger trends. You know, if I'm looking at the daily, here's your bullish divergence on Uber. See it right there? Momentum was moving up. All right, and this, you know, divergent low, divergent low, divergent low. All right, the period lasted from, you know, basically the divergence started to show up right about there in May, late May of 2022, and it essentially lasted till June. So almost a month basically. And then it's obviously worked out. We've come full circle now, and we have negative divergence starting to build. See if I can make a trend line. Nah, I can't quite make it. So I don't have a very clean trend line there. So I'm going to go with that. I still think, oh, let me tighten that one up. I still think it's probably an uptrend while building divergence, sell signal, and a back test. That's the best I can do on that one. Which means that it would be, you know, we should start to be sell the rip, but you can see my trend, it could go higher. You know, you could run up and do a full back test. You've got earnings coming up. I would prefer to wait for earnings to clear out, reevaluate the chart, and then, you know, and then figure out where things go. But if I had to guess, it looks like we're at or near the end of the run. Maybe a little higher. See, there's some resistance just overhead, so. Okay, that's Uber. Amgen. AMGN. So this is biotech. I don't really love that. I'm going to get rid of that one. Sometimes you can't make a clean trend line. You look for it, but you just, if you can't make it, we just get rid of it. That looks okay there. You've got the low, 2, 3, 4. That looks okay. Below trend. I don't see bullish divergence down here. It doesn't necessarily mean that, I don't know. This looks like it broke that bullish trend and it could head lower. Okay. And if it does, it's going to go to those lows most likely. There'll be buyers down here, but that 200 roughly, that's where I'd have to guess. Because at the end of the day, guys, everything is a guess, right? We use the charts, gives us information, and then we guess. And if we're wrong, we exit, take our losses, and move on. AMD had a rug pull. Well, let's take a look. What do you mean? Well, I mean, that's a doji. But the market kind of reversed a little bit too. We saw some selling, obviously, into the close. Let me see what this looks like. Yeah. And that's the thing, guys. I mean, I get a lot of comments in the morning. I usually try to wait to put out information because you'll get market makers in there, pump things up in the morning, and then they sell it off the rest of the day. So I get a lot of comments in the first, people get emotional. They see the pump in the morning and so on this one, in the short term, I don't really see any divergence on the hourly. But you do have it on the daily. See, it's right there. See, negative divergence. That's a divergent high, and it was sold into. You're kind of at support right there. You've got an uptrend line, I think, to watch. Not super clean because it kind of breaks through it right there, but I don't know. I don't have a super clean read on it. For me, it's just in kind of in a neutral zone right here that I just wouldn't be interested, but looks like it maybe wants to come down to the trend line. But there's no sell signals. There's no like break of trend or, there's really nothing to go off of, so I won't be trading it. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more and then get going. Someone says Netflix, up or down? I think Netflix is still holding that bullish trend. Yeah, so, there's your bullish trend. It's actually starting to form a wedge. Not nowhere near the apex of the wedge, so it could continue. This is resistance up here. Yeah, I'd say down. So you've got negative divergence on the PPO and the RSI. That's a divergent high. Could run up and hit that, but that's resistance. And I think you're probably, with the divergences showing up, you're going to head down to the bottom. I don't know how it gets down there. It could just go like this and barely go, It's very hard to tell you how it's going to get down there, but it looks like it could go lower. You have earnings coming up though, so who knows? If they like earnings, it could rally up and put in a new divergent high. Again, this is resistance, so all I know is if you trade up into resistance, that's an objective area to short. If you trade down here at support, that's an objective area to go long. If you break, as long as there's no divergence, it's a sell signal. So this is dual resistance right here, and you didn't quite hit it. So I don't know. It's hard to say. They could pop it on earnings and then sell it. I will not be taking any position on this ahead of earnings. One more, guys, then we'll wrap up. GIS for a short. It broke the long-term channel. All right, let's take a look. That's General Mills, I believe. Yeah. This is what they're talking about. So this is the daily chart. This is going back to 2018. Support, support, support. You got 3 reactions. That's enough. You did break. It's not that impulsive. You did break. You do not have bullish divergence. So yeah, I would lean short here for sure. You broke on a gap. Let me see what that gap. 1%. It's not very impulsive. But I would be sell the rip. You're probably going to consolidate here for a little bit. Maybe you back test a little bit, then you roll over. As far as I can tell, it's not a false breakdown. So that's what, yeah, that's the way I'd be leaning. Yeah, someone wanted me to check MasterCard. I'm still in this one. I'm short this one. It's not a huge position, and it's underwater, but to me, it looks like it's back testing. So we'll just extend this out. And look, you've got, there's your low. All right, you held this trend for a while. There's another reaction. There's even another one. It gapped down, but it closed right at support. The following day, it broke. And ever since then, it's been back testing. Back test, back test, back test. It's above it now, but that's just, to me, this just looks like market makers running stops, playing games. It's not an impulsive breakout. It is not, well, let me see. We'll just double check. And I mean, you still have divergence. It's just extended. All right, peak momentum was all the way back here in December. And you got a divergent high. So that's a divergent high. There's a divergent, just a marginal high above the former high is a divergent high, and it gets sold into each and every time. Divergent high, sold into. Divergent high, sold into. Divergent high. Probability says sold into. All right, and we broke trend. So I still like it, and I'd be looking for a move lower. I'll add to this trade. I'm short it right now, not a lot, but I'll probably add to the short when I see some sort of a rejection candle, all right, a reversal candle, some sort of a big bearish engulfing candle, something like that. And that's all I got. Okay, guys, I will catch you on Monday. So everyone take care. Have a great weekend. All right, bye.